in the past 24 hours. Big Bet Bennett, are the Warriors now a real threat in the Western Conference?
I mean, I think like this version of the Warriors is probably always a threat in the Western Conference as long as they have Steph, Clay, and Draymond. I think this probably makes them a little bit better. I mean, honestly, how much better is this version of Chris? And I know completely different players. How much better is this version of Chris Paul than Jordan Poole? I don't know.
Well, that's a fair point based strictly on basketball ability.
Sure.
The difference between Chris Paul and Jordan Poole is that everybody on the Warriors seem to hate Jordan Poole.
That's a fair point.
And they might have an open mind about Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Like this whole deal is just as much on some level about how badly they had to get Jordan Poole out of there as it is about how badly they had to get Chris Paul in there.
Did you see unfollow Draymond like immediately on social media?
I bet you. Like, here's the thing.
No, they hate each other. We don't have to. Like,
and here's what became increasingly clear as that incident happened and then the season progressed. They all hated him.
mm-hmm.
Draymond Green just is the one who threw the punch,
Mm-hmm.
but they all hated him.
Yeah, you can see it.
They acknowledge you can't do that. All right, like Draymond, you crossed the line. You can't punch guys in the facility. You can't go to work and punch your coworkers. Like, imagine if I just punched Lang later on today.
That'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it.
Please don't do that.
I wouldn't.
Okay, good.
I would never. But like,
I know y'all got the Mets Braves thing. Just please don't.
Yeah, I would punch him and then blow a 7-game lead in September.
Yep.
But like, you can't go to work and punch your coworkers. I know it's basketball and sports, so we think of it differently. But what Draymond Green did is he went to work and he got into an argument with a coworker and he punched him. Like, that'll get you fired from most jobs.
Yes.
But in the NBA, it's sort of like, sometimes tempers flare. But that, at the time, you wondered, okay, is that just Draymond Green, like, being threatened by somebody else's success? As his abilities are starting to diminish? Is this the same guy? Yes, on some level, I guess all of that could be true. But Draymond was speaking for the team when he threw that punch, even if he clearly crossed the line. So they had to get Jordan Poole out of there. And if you go back to right after that incident, most of the talk about the future of the Golden State Warriors revolved around them moving on from Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm. And we wanted him here,
and not moving on from Jordan Poole. It was like, well, Draymond. In fact, I think this is true. You go back to the day Jordan Poole signed that big contract. It was like, this is the end of Draymond Green, because you can't pay Steph, can't pay Clay, can't pay Jordan Poole, and then also you're paying Andrew Wiggins, and then also pay Draymond Green. So this is the end of Draymond Green in Golden State. And what became obvious is that might have been the actual plan when Jordan Poole signed that contract, when you offered it to him. Because there's no scenario where when you offer that contract to him, you think less than a year later, we're going to move off this contract.
Right.
At the time, I think the plan was probably, Jordan Poole's our future, Draymond's our celebrated past, but we're moving on.
Yep. And
as the season progressed, like they seem to have reached a conclusion. Jordan Poole's the guy we got to get out of here. And honestly, Jordan Poole might need to get out of there for his own good as well. Like the Warriors only needed him to play a specific role. And I think JJ Redick joked about this last night, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. JJ Redick was like, he'll lead the league in scoring next year.
I could totally see it.
Just go for a bad team in Washington and score 32 points a game.
Yep.
Like, he could do that. And so this might be best for Jordan Poole, and I'm going to trust it's best for Golden State, but it is it's a messy situation where getting Chris Paul is, I'm sure, something that they wanted to happen on some level, but getting off the Jordan Poole contract was a real motivator here. To circle back to my original question, is Golden State a threat in the West now? According to the betting markets, they are. They've got the third best odds in the Western Conference to win the NBA title when I checked this morning. The favorite to win the championship now, next season, Boston Celtics at plus 460. The Porzingis addition has moved them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like, however you think about Marcus Smart, Kristaps Porzingis, whatever, all of the simulated models, when you run the computer stuff, it spits out that the Celtics are better with Porzingis and without Smart as opposed to with Smart and without Porzingis. So the Celtics are now the favorite to win the 2024 NBA title. Next up, Nuggets at plus 470, then Bucks at plus 550, Suns at plus 650, big gap. Warriors plus 1,200, Lakers plus 1,500. So Golden State is projected third in the West, third best odds in the West, and the Warriors have the fifth. It's third in the West and the fifth best odds overall to win the NBA title. If you're interested, Grizzlies are plus 2,300 to win the title. That's tied for fifth in the West with the Clippers. Back to Chris Paul. You're offended by that?
The Clippers thing is so stupid to me.
It's just based on if those two guys are ever healthy, they're a problem.
Right.
That's all it is. It's just like, if you're, in the betting markets, you've got to cover yourself for what happens if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are both healthy at the same time.
I get it.
You got to cover yourself for that.
I get it.
So that's what that's rooted in. Chris Paul, circling back to him, he's not what he once was. He's still effective. He's 13.9 points per game, 8.9 assists, 1.5 steals in 32 minutes of contest. That's what he was this past season in what turned out to be his age 38 season. He shot 44% from the field, 37.5% from three on 4.4 attempts per game. So, that's respectable. You have to guard him. He was 16th among point guards in player efficiency rating this past season, just right behind LaMelo Ball, just ahead of Tyrese Maxey. So he is not all NBA Chris Paul anymore, but he's somebody who can still help you win a basketball game.
Yeah.
And so from Golden State's perspective, the regular season just shouldn't matter. Just, limited minutes, give him nights off, load manage, and see if you can, fingers crossed, have him healthy for the postseason at 38. I guess by the time we get to the postseason, he'd be on the verge of 39.
I think that's right, yeah.
But, he's going to spend most of this season at the age of 38. His birthday, I believe, is in May. So, just make sure you have him available. There's no way to make sure. It's not like you can say, well, I'm going to make sure, but do everything you can do to increase the likelihood that he is healthy in the playoffs. And then you're running out there, theoretically, with a roster that's got 4 future Hall of Famers on it. All of them are diminished versions of themselves, except for maybe Steph. And even Steph is diminished, but Steph is still awesome.
Yeah.
But Klay Thompson is not Klay Thompson anymore. Draymond's not Draymond anymore. Chris Paul's not Chris Paul anymore, but they are all still good. And perhaps together, good enough. We'll see. But again, Warriors now have the third best odds to win the NBA title among Western Conference franchises.